Bonjour, bonsoir à tous et à toutes et bienvenue à l'émission Chez Papy Maky saison 2023. Et pour le premier épisode de cette nouvelle série, nous avons un invité exceptionnel. Il s'agit d'un joueur exceptionnel, l'un des meilleurs joueurs au monde. Llod, welcome Llod.
Thanks so much for having me.
Thanks to you, thanks very much for your time. Now, what time is it now in Escost?
3 p.m.
Wow.
So in the
Now,
middle of the afternoon.
yeah, it's very evening. It's 9 o'clock p.m. in France. So thanks very much for your time, Llod. You know you have a lot of fun in France. There are a lot of people.
Yeah, I was happy to hear that.
Yeah. You are one of the best player in this game and the best pitch player in the world. What is interesting for me, for us, is to talk about what was your journey of players for become these players.
hmm
And of course, for start the journey, let's start from the beginning, Lords. What was your first console? What was your first feeling with the first video games? Tell us.
So you might know that I grew up with Rishi, one of the other top Smash players. He's my brother, and so we grew up together playing video games. And we were actually introduced to video games by our older sister. She's about 10 years older than both of us, and so when we were little, she's the one who actually pulled us into the world of video games with her Nintendo 64, and she had all these games that she would kind of slowly introduce us to, and one of her favorites was Smash 64, and that was one of the first games that I remember playing, at least. And then the rest was kind of history once we fell in love with that game,
Oh,
because Rishi and I just continued playing Smash for pretty much the rest of our lives.
Rishi is your older brother or
Yep,
the
older
older?
brother.
Le- do,
Yep.
I have older brother, and like you, I played a lot with my brother, and sometimes we fight because I win the games. It was the same with Rishi.
Yeah, we were pretty competitive. I'm probably more competitive between the two of us because I felt like I always had something to prove being the younger brother.
I totally got it.
Yeah, he was always just slightly better than me at every game we played, and so I always tried much harder just so I could beat him.
So you play it when you was young. You already play competitive against your brother, right?
Yeah, we were desperately trying to beat each other all the time, and I think that fueled our drive to get good in this game. Just because right from the beginning we had competition between ourselves.
So no, it's fun, very funny. And so you played Nintendo 64. You did you try the old console like Super Nintendo or something like that?
I don't think we ever played with the actual consoles. I mean, I kind of I got an emulator at some point, and played around with some of the Super Nintendo games just when I was growing up for fun. Like one of my favorites is Mario RPG for the Super Nintendo.
Oh yeah, very
Um,
good.
I think still to this day, that's easily one of my top three favorite games.
Oh, also oh nice. So you will be enjoy the remake, who will be
Oh my
released.
god, I'm
Yeah,
so excited.
yeah. Like a lot of people say. Yeah. So tell me if I'm wrong, but your first tournament was in November 2005. Boom
Yeah,
four.
you got it right.
In
Yep,
yeah, Maryland, close to New York. You know,
you
it's
did your research.
yeah. We have some points common. My the biggest points common of I have similar points I have with you is my first tournament was 2004. 2004, so
Wow.
almost 1 years before you. And
Yeah.
I have a question about how do you hear about this tournament, because in the past we didn't have Twitch, YouTube, etc. for hear about the melee competition. So how do you hear about these tournaments?
Yeah, it was a little bit, I don't want to say lucky, but so I at that time I was actually 10 years old at the time and my brother was 11. So
Wow.
we were both actual children at the time. And I didn't really go to the online Smash community at the time, but Rishi had found Smashboards, which was like the big online forum at the time for Smash. He had made an account and he was like talking to some people on there, and he he's the one who found out about like the big competitive scene at the time. I didn't
Wow.
know it existed, but he like went to Smash Bros, found out that there were tournaments, saw that there was like a gigantic one nearby, and so uh, we ended up going, chaperoned by our dad at the time, and discovering what the tournaments were like.
So what was you what was you feeling when you arrived in the tournaments? Have you heard about top players at this time?
No, we had no idea who anyone was. We just, he and I were like really good relative to our like school friend groups, which of course meant nothing because we were playing with other children. And when it came to an actual tournament, like we just got completely destroyed by everyone we play against.
Yeah, I can understand that. Do you remember a player who was already in the community, who was nice with you or talk with you or maybe try to give you some tips or something like that when
Yeah,
you
so our very first tournament was pretty short. So that first tournament in 2005, we only entered doubles. We went like 0 and 2 against some random teams, and then we pretty much left right afterwards. But over the next few years, we'd like slowly start going to more and more local tournaments, and we got treated very well. We were like obviously very young compared to the average smasher at the time, um, and so everyone kind of welcomed us into the scene. They were all very nice to us and invited us to like play with them and give us tips here and there. And some of the people I specifically remember being like particularly nice were people like Red. If you know him, he's like the Fox player from Virginia. Um, Doll, who is actually
pitch
my
player?
namesake. Yeah, Peach player
Yeah.
who inspired me to play Peach. Like,
Oh.
he's literally the reason why I play Peach to this day. He was very nice, and then a lot of just like the Virginia people. Chillin' Dude was very
Oh
welcoming. Azin was always good to see around. Um,
yeah.
so a lot of those like classic Virginia names, like they helped welcome us into the scene and get us going and accelerating our growth as players, which is pretty cool.
Did you felt at this time the big rivalry between East Coast and West Coast because Azen, Chili Dudes against Ken, Isaac, etc. was very strong in this era. Did you feel
Yeah.
that?
Um, it didn't feel like we were a part of that rivalry, but Rishi and I would watch like those. Do you remember those crew battles that they would do, like the 10 versus 10 East
Hmm.
Coast versus West Coast crew battles? There was one that like I think we watched at least 20 times, just like start to finish.
Wow.
It was so exciting.
So crazy. You just talked before about Doll the pitch player.
Yeah.
You say he inspire you, right?
Yep.
In which way? Like his mind or his pitch or which way?
So it was kind of funny how it happened because I think at the time I mained Sheik, and I kind of like dabbled in some other characters too. And I was at like a shoot at bi-weekly tournament in his house in Virginia, and I was just playing friendlies with some random person. And at the time, I think I must have been like 12 or 13. So a few years into my quote unquote competitive career, I was like decent at the time. And I was playing against someone who was like a decent amount worse than me. I was like beating them up with Sheik for a bit and then started switching to all my secondaries. And I was going literally down the list of my like secondary characters until I got to Peach. And my Peach wasn't like good at the time or anything. I barely knew what I was doing. I just had like solid fundamentals, and I played him with Peach for a few games. And little did I know that right behind us was Doll, the Peach player, who was watching. And afterwards, he like came up to me and he was like, "Hey, I really like your Peach. I think you should play her more." I was like,
Wow.
"Really?" I was like, "There's no way. Like, I wouldn't have ever even consider that." And so, next couple days, I started playing with her more and more, and ended up finding Doll at the next tournament I went to, and we talked more and more about Peach and character, and play styles, and I like started watching more of his sets and getting inspired. And then before I knew it, I had like started maining Peach just because I liked her so much. And then over the next like couple years, I would keep running into Doll and would keep playing more and more. And eventually, I switched my tag over to Llod just because of like how much influence he ended up having on my character choice.
Wow. So without Doll, they are not Llod Peach, right?
Right. I like wouldn't have even considered it ever.
Wow. So thanks Doll, and thanks.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Doll.
Oh, so it is like you senpai, you master, right?
Yeah, yeah. He showed me a lot of stuff over the years, and we actually ended up playing at a lot of tournaments like against each other. And it was funny because like I think the first like 8 or 9 times he would just barely beat me in the Peach Ditto. Um, it always felt like he was one step ahead of me, like during my ascent as a player.
Uh,
And before I could beat him, he retired.
oh yeah. Old school player, old school player.
Yep. Yep.
So actually, do you have are you in contact with him? The like for example, you make an amazing tournament last week with insane loser run, beating a lot of strong players. Did you do you receive some message of him, or sometimes he sent some message to say GG Lord or something like that, or
Sometimes we keep in touch. You know, it's funny. We actually have the same birthday, believe it or not.
oh
Like
wow.
totally coincidental. Like we didn't find that out until like a few years ago. But so we keep in touch sometimes. When I went to school in Virginia for college, he used to host tournaments. This was like after his official retirement, but he kind of came back into the scene to
Hmm.
like host these big house tournaments. We all feel like he did that just so he could cook food for everyone, since he loved cooking food for company. And
Wow.
uh, so it was good to like see him at his house and see all the Virginia people show up there too. In the past few years, I think we've kind of lost contact with each other, but we for sure wish each other happy birthday every year, just because we'll never forget it.
That's nice. That's nice to get the same birthday for
Yeah.
don't forget, like you say. After the Pounds 2005, the Bomb Force, sorry, 2005,
Uh-huh.
you did you enter in Pound 3, right?
Yep.
It was you first major tournaments, because before you say you just enter in team in Bomb 4, right? So
Yes.
Pound 3 was your first major tournament, or you enter before?
Um, I think it was. I think Rishi and I went to Pound 2, but we didn't enter. We just went there for like friendlies. And I think Pound 3 was, yes, the first time that we actually entered a singles at a big tournament.
What was your mindset at this moment? Did you feel like I won't play for competitive, or I just want play fun and got some friends or something like that?
It was very much like we knew we were not very good relative to the scene, but we wanted to like get better. Since Rishi and I, like pretty much every tournament we went to, we would get better and better and better pretty quickly. And so each time, like we felt like we had something to prove. Um, we knew we didn't because this was in like 2008, I think.
Pound,
And so yeah,
yeah,
2008.
exactly, 2008,
Yeah,
February
so I
2008.
was like 13 at the time. Um, and I'm trying to think. We weren't like amazing at that time. When did Brawl come out? Wasn't that around the same time? I'm trying to think.
Uh, we- can,
Uh,
can we say, Lord, I have a question. Can we say, because in this time we don't got online, right?
yeah.
Can we say Richie make you a better player and you make Richie a better player because you was brother?
Oh, of course. Yeah, like having a practice partner before the online era of Melee was like such a blessing because like we both pretty much learned how to play all the high and top tier characters just so that we could have practice against them.
Yeah.
So like, we both played all the characters and we just practiced literally all the matchups.
Really spices things up.
Yeah. Yeah, I hear you. Do you hear me, Llod?
Yeah, I hear you.
Yeah, so you practice a lot about the matchup. You played Peach, he played Mars at this time.
So at that time, I think I was Sheik and Peach.
Oh,
I
okay.
actually I co-mained both for like 10 years actually.
Wow. Oh, very, 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 very long time ago. Very long
Yeah.
time ago.
Yeah, little known fact, I think I mained Sheik
Probably the best Peach.
for like
That highest place Peach.
from 2004 through like 2016, I think is when I officially retired her.
Wow. A very,
Um,
very long time ago.
yeah. Yeah,
Um,
and then Rishi was Marth and Fox.
Mars and Fox, and you Peach and
Yeah.
Chick.
Yep.
And so back to pound three. You enter in pound three. You remember you lost against who? Do you remember?
Honestly, I don't even remember. I remember Pound 4, but Pound 3 was such a blur to me. I'm trying to see if I can find it.
Because I didn't found in Wikipedia.
Yeah, I don't think I see it either. I'll have to think about it. Maybe it'll come back to me,
You
but
could save hundreds a year on
I don't
groceries by
think
shopping at Aldi.
I don't think I beat anyone good. Wait, no. Okay, I do remember now. Pound 3. I realized this because that was the tournament. This was the national that happened right before Brawl's release, like a few months before. And I remember it because someone actually brought like a Japanese demo version of Brawl to the event, and that was like a big deal about it.
Wow.
That tournament, I believe it or not, I lost to Doll in singles.
Oh.
Yeah, I lost to, I want to say, Vidjo Gamer.
I
Do you remember him?
No, I don't know him. He's
I
an
think
old school player.
Old school Peach player. I think he's been like, I feel like there's something weird about him. I want to say he was canceled. Yeah, I think he was. Yeah, there were some like misconduct allegations against him recently, so I think he's officially canceled. But back in the day, he was one of the best Peach players, and so I lost to him in pools, and then somewhere in bracket, I don't know who I lost to in winners, but I lost to Doll in losers. So I actually lost 2 Peach Didos.
against you master, the person who
Yeah, exactly.
who influenced you.
Right.
What was your feeling when you lost against Doll? Do you feel like next time I will beat you, or
Yeah, every time I felt that way.
always? After 2008, after Pound 3, the next tournament of I have is in 2013. It's true about Major. Did you make a stop before Pound 3 and in 2008 and 2013?
What was in 2013?
The Hyper Phoenix 2 Super Toner Deluxe plus.
So I definitely went to Pound 4.
Okay.
So that was in 2010, and that like time period was a little bit weird because so that was like high school time for me, and high school was pretty busy. Rishi and I couldn't go to too many tournaments, and we were usually like occupied on the weekends. But we did go to Pound 4, and it was also weird because like that was during the Brawl era too, and just because of my like school schedule, it was a lot easier for me to play Brawl just because I could practice online. Like they had the Wi-Fi matchmaking, everything, and so I was actually mostly playing Brawl in those days. But we did go to Pound 4, and I think I lost to Plank and Chudat in singles.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Chudat actually went Pikachu against me because he used to go Pikachu against Peach.
Ice Climber is a hard matchup for Ice Climber.
Yeah,
I know that.
yeah.
So
And Plank was like one of the top Sheiks at the time, so he like kind of destroyed me.
You wow. You was at this time you was in high school, like you say. Um,
Yeah,
so you was busy. So now a lot of times for practice melee, right?
right. Yep.
Until when you decide to say, okay, I have a potential for become a top player in melee, so I want be a top player in melee. At what year? What's at what which when moments you decide that?
So that would be 2013, 2014, those couple years, because that's when I started college, which first provided a lot more independence for me and a much like more open schedule. And so that was when I kind of realized that I can make the time to practice, I can make the time to go to tournaments, and that's when I started to see actual results. Um, Thanks to the time that I was putting into the game. That was also like in my college. I had actually started a Smash club for people at the school who also wanted to get good, and so we all kind of like worked together to help each other improve too. We'd like host tournaments, we'd host Smash Fests, we'd
Wow.
um, I actually put together a lecture series because like I wanted the club to be for the people who knew how to play competitively, but also to like draw the more casual players into the competitive scene. So I actually remember like I gave I think like 5 or 6 like actual presentations on how to play the game competitively, which was
In your
pretty
club,
cool. Just in the
in
club, yeah.
wow. So but what? So I have some question about that. So college for us, it's after primary, but in US college is after graduation, right?
So yeah, so we do like elementary school from like ages 5 to 11,
Yeah.
and then middle school is 12 and 13, and then high school is 13 through 17, and then college is like 17 through 21.
And you make a club, a Smash Bros. Melee club in your college, right?
Yep.
Wow, it's crazy. How do you do? So you remember how much players you got in the beginning?
So we started out I would say maybe like 15, 20 people who would be coming
Twenty,
like the more motivated. Or would you say?
20, 20, 20, 20, 20
Yeah,
people
2-0.
who come
Yes.
for play melee
Yep.
in your college, right?
Yep. But then like
Wow.
we grew pretty fast. Like some of our larger tournaments would have like 70, 80 people. Um, and then we would also like we'd host these tournaments and people from neighboring schools would come to our school too to compete and we would travel to theirs. So we had like some pretty cool rivalries that were developing.
It was like a basketball club, right? So you got a rival, you some players come, etc., etc. Like a basketball club.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And
Oh.
like it wasn't just like me having rivalries with like other people's top players. It was like all the members of the club had like specific rivals with other schools. It was really funny. There were all these like storylines that were developing and that kind of like culture really motivated people to get better just because they had like their own personal like journeys and rivals and adventures. It was like pretty cool to see.
Wow, it's crazy to hear that. I mean, it's crazy. It's very fun, very good because we want the same things in France. Like go to college, make a club, got 20 players. 20 players. It's a lot, When when they're weekly in France, it's very hard to got 20 players for the weekly. So I can't
Mhm.
imagine like 20 players for in the club. Do you remember how many setup you got when you make the club? How many setup, how many CRT you got, or something like that?
So I think we'd have like the club owned probably like 10, which was a good amount. And then a lot of the or a lot of the members had like their own personal CRTs, and so they would bring them to events too. Um, and so like the bigger tournaments, we probably have like 20 or so setups.
Wow, it's totally different of Europe. Yeah, totally different.
Mhm.
So you make this club. You give some coaching, if I can call that like that, coaching,
Sure.
right?
Yeah. Mhm.
So you saw some. Can you have you seen some players in your club become good players or high players, or they just play for fun?
The two you may have heard of. One is named Juicebox. I don't know if he's ever been top 100, but he's for sure been close. He's a Sheet player from Virginia. He's always like somewhere in the top 10 in the Maryland Virginia power rankings.
Okay, so not
Um,
bad.
yeah, he's one of the uh, good people from the club. And then the other one is named Mom, also a Peach player. He doesn't enter as much anymore, but he's like he's like Milkman.
No, who repeats? Make
Have you heard of Milkman, the Fox player from Virginia?
McMahon? No, never hear about him.
He was like one of the better players in Virginia for the past several years. He was like Red's training partner for a while. So they're about the same skill level. Mom was like somewhere just below their skill level. So we've had two people who like could almost enter like the nationally recognized scenes. They just don't play as much anymore.
So he was very old school.
Yeah.
Wow, this story about club is just insane, you know. Like if we can got, if we can got that in every school in France, it will be so crazy. I'm so jealous about that, by the way.
I think that was just a big part of like college culture, at least the one that I went to. So many of the people that went there, they had pretty like regimented lives right beforehand. Like they had very set in stone schedules and not much freedom to do what they wanted. And then it was like a liberal arts college where the idea was you could just like explore what you like doing and you have time to like do what you want to do. Everyone's living on campus and like in dorms and so a lot of people would just like naturally be playing Smash like in their college rooms with their friends, and so we effectively just provided like a place for them all to play in one sitting, so that you have a lot of people to like play around with. And so I think we got a little bit lucky that there were so many motivated people who all wanted to like join this club at the same time.
Yeah.
That's kind of how it ended up working out pretty well.
When you teach in your club, sometimes you know some players who teach lost the competitor mind, competitor fire. You know, a lot of players of I can meet lost his competitor mind because they want to make other players improve, etc., etc. You at this moment, so you I know you make a guide maybe 5 years ago, right?
Yeah.
And at this moment when you was in your club, what was your objective number one? Did you feel like I want to become one of the best player in the world, or what was your mind at this moment?
So at that point, no, I didn't want to be the best in the world. I wanted to get better, and I wanted to help other people learn how to get better. And then I also wanted to at least be good enough to like represent our school and like make our scene well known to the rest of the state. And so not only was I like focused on improving myself, but I really wanted like everyone else to get good too, just so that we could like become a recognized club. One of the big incentives, actually, at the time, there was a collegiate circuit that was going on. It was called the Melee Games. I can't remember who was like the original sponsor, but it was effectively a big uh, intercollegiate. Matt.Zeb, I think, is the one who organized it. Like the Shine TO.
Yeah.
He created this college circuit where schools would have like 5v5 crew battles in this
Wow.
gigantic national tournament where like the winners would, get money and get flow into tournaments and do whatever. So that was like probably one of the most polarizing things for us. It was just a common call for us to improve and do well so that we could do well in this circuit. And so I like put a lot of effort into improving myself, but also like training for other people so that we could create this like really solid crew
Yeah.
and compete well. And we actually did well in the crew. Like we won our regional uh, circuit, and then we all got flown to Shine to complete in the nationals, like the national crew battle, which is super fun.
It's very funny when I hear you because I feel like you was never alone in your melee journey because you start with Richie, then after you make a club with a lot of players in your college, so you was never alone and you always found something for play, something for make tournament, something for try to be the best, for improve, more improve, etc, etc. Some players are alone in their journey in melee. They are alone and they don't found the motivation for keep or something like that. And
Yeah.
when I hear you, it's tell me if I'm wrong, but I feel like you was never alone in your journey melee, right? Or I'm wrong?
I think that's right. I mean, the one exception would just be in the past few years, because ever since medical school started, that's kind of when like I've been more alone, just in nature of not having time to like connect with local scenes and living so far away from the bigger scenes. Because I went to medical school in like a small town or a small city in Pennsylvania where there wasn't really much of a scene. I would still like enter like a regional every few months, but I didn't have like consistent training partners at the time or anything. And then during residency now, same deal. I don't really have like people to play with, which is sad because you're right. Like most of my career was spent training with people and not only focusing on my own improvement, but trying to help other people's improvement too. So I don't have that these days, but if I had the choice, I definitely would surround myself with similar types of people.
When you played in tournaments and you lost, did you was sad for your crew players, or you feel like okay, no, they not will see like a loser? Because why I try to explain, it's sometimes some players play for friends, and when they lost, they they are hungry about himself because they feel like I will disappoint my friends, I will disappoint the players who are close to me. But for you, what was your feeling at this moment when you lost against players? Do you understand my question?
Are you talking about like in the crew battles or just in
No,
general?
in general, because like I say, you was never alone. You brother, you crew in the
Oh,
college.
I see what you're saying.
Yeah,
Um, yeah, I do feel sad because like Rishi doesn't compete as much anymore, and I feel like he lives his competitive drive vicariously through me, just because I compete and he doesn't, and he's like pretty much become my coach over the past several years, just like by nature of our relationship, and it does feel like when I lose, I do disappoint him,
yeah,
because he is at the moment very invested in my
yeah,
competitive career.
yeah.
Um, and then same deal with all my friends back home. Like I still do talk to all my college Smash friends, and it's always nice to like see them cheering me on. And after I lost to Wizrobe, they all were joining me in complaining about Captain Falcon.
Yeah. As a pitch player, I can understand that too. Uh, do you remember what was the defeats in the tournaments who make the most pain for you?
Like player wise.
The most defeats who make the biggest pain. Like you got a defeat and you was very mad, very bad. You got pain in your heart, pain in your mentality, mind, etc., etc. Do you remember a defeat like that in tournaments?
Um, Sorry, are you talking about like characters or players?
No, about the players. Sorry, about the players.
Players.
Like, yeah, players. Players who win against you, and you was mad because very very mad because you win against this player at this moment.
I
Who?
think um I think it very much has to do with like I will get mad if I lose to people who I feel don't respect the game or
Mhm.
don't respect me. Um like coming from playing with my brother for so many years, playing with like all my college friends for so many years. I've grew up in such a supportive and respectful environment where we're all like pushing each other to improve, we're all like bringing each other up. And so I get frustrated when I lose to people who do the opposite and instead like try to bring their opponents down or bring the game down. So there's like several players who I won't name names, but they like they view the game kind of negatively and like approach it from a toxic perspective and bring their opponents down based on like their opponent's character choice, that type of thing. Um, I would say those are the people that like make me the most mad.
Ah, okay. That's interesting. And do you remember one of the biggest win of you can got against a player who make you very happy, who make you very very proud of you, etc., etc. If you can say one of the biggest win who give you some a lot of pleasure, do you remember or can you say?
It would probably be playing against Zane.
Yeah.
Um, I played him last year at Summit, and so he's like the perfect example of like someone who respects the game, someone who respects his opponents, and playing against him is like it's literally playing against perfection. Just like because the way he approaches the game, the way he thinks, the way he makes decisions, it's all like so well thought out, so well executed, and so being able to like play him just in general, but also being able to like overcome his skill was such a rewarding feeling. Just because it felt like I was truly playing against like the god of melee, and it was just like a beautiful phenomenon to see because like I watch how I played during that set, and I'm like that's probably still to this day the best I have ever played. And I think a big reason is because like his method of playing the game pushed me to like it challenged me to overcome it. And so just by playing such a good opponent, it made me the best version of myself. So I think that made me the happiest.
Wow, I remember this win. It was a very big win, and yeah, I
Mhm.
saw it. I saw it indirectly. I saw it. I play Mars, and at this moment, I just feel like, wow, how Llod can beat Zane. Like how. Yeah. So
It's funny. I mentioned that I made Sheik for so many years, and during Zane's rise, like because he used to be a nobody, right? In like 2013, nobody knew who he was. But those next few years, from like 2013 to 2017, when he was like slowly getting better and better, my Sheik was actually his biggest obstacle in all the tournaments he went to. Because for whatever reason, we played and like every single tournament we would both go to, we would just get seated to play against each other, and I would just wreck him with my Sheik over and over and over again. So can't do that anymore, but my Sheik has a very, very good record against his Mars.
Yeah, it's a very fun story. And when can we talk about Armada because he's a pitch player, right?
Yeah. Yep.
And he inspired a lot of pitch players. So Armada was probably the first pitch who win a major in US. Tell me if I'm wrong,
Mm-hmm.
but I think
Yeah,
about
I think you're right.
Genesis, etc., Evo, etc. Uh, did you watch, analyze, or try to get inspiration by Armada pitch as a pitch player?
Um, Honestly, not too much until like yeah, not really until like 2016.
Oh, okay.
I was yeah, believe it or not, I wasn't really much of like a studier of other players until then. I didn't really watch other people to like get good or for inspiration. And I think I may have tried. Like I remember maybe watching like some of his sets and then thinking about what he would do, and then I would try it and it wouldn't work. And I'd be like, okay, maybe it's not for me. I think I was just more invested in like my own personal play style and trying to learn like Peach as a character the way that I could do it, rather than trying to copy him.
Yeah, I think it's a very good mentality to think. Like, I think a lot of players now try to copy top players. They don't try to make their own identity, own personality.
Right.
Yeah. So let's talk about playstyle justement.
Sure.
You for me. So you pitch. So let's compare the two best pitch player, you and Triff. I,
Mhm.
I play a lot against Triff, and he's very defensive pitch player. Compared to you, tell me if I'm wrong, but you pitch is more aggressive, more commit, very different, very opposite to Triff. Why? How? Can you explain that? Because you like play aggressive, you like commit, you like. Tell me if I'm wrong, Llod, but this is my analyze.
Yeah, so I think it's a pretty cool difference between us. So I think so. Here's a good example of what the difference between us is. So let's say I am standing, or let's say my Peach is standing like a decent amount of space in front of my opponent, whatever character they are. So my preference for a neutral win is both of us running forward, meeting each other in the middle, and me winning that specific mix-up. So like me correctly guessing what they're about to do, and then me picking the perfect option. Whether that's like running up and power shielding their move, and then punishing it in response, or me like intercepting their aerial with an anti-air of my own. That's the type of game that I like to play. Triff does two other things. The first is trying to catch the opponent's approach by avoiding them completely, either by jumping back or dashing back, and then punishing them in response, or he'll do an overshoot to catch them dashing back. So I know that was a lot, but that's kind of like the difference between us. I like meeting people in the middle, and Triff either likes meeting them behind him or behind his opponent.
Yeah, very interesting what you say. Yeah. Sadly, I never play against you. So when I speak about your playstyle, I just can see videos, and try to see exactly what you did and what was your neutral, what was your punish. But my opinion is your neutral is very, very, very solid, very strong. My opinion is you have one of the best neutral of I can see in the tournaments. Tell me what you think about that. But even if you punish game is insane too, huh? Of course I don't say wrong things. But your neutral is very, very, very strong. What do you think about your neutral game?
I think it's good. A big thing is like I've thought so much about how to explain neutral game. Like when it came to like putting out those lectures together for my club and doing like my guide to improvement and doing lessons on Metafy, I've like put so much time into just deconstructing neutral game as a concept. And so I think I've been able to like implement that into the way that I think about the game. I have very specific interactions that I look for in every matchup, and the rest of neutral game is just figuring out how to position in order to make those specific interactions happen. It's like a very like flowcharty way to describe neutral game, and so I think that's kind of why my neutral game like looks the way it is. It's because it's very like intentional. There's very specific things that I want to happen, very specific positions that I need to be in to make those things happen. And then the rest of that will just be like winning mix-ups, like winning rock paper scissors.
Yeah.
And so a lot of it ends up being like playing with the flow of my opponent, like picking decisions based on where they are. And then I think I also just have a very good understanding of like Peach's hitboxes and her interactions and how things change based on where my opponent's positioned, so that I can put together this like pretty seamless type of microspacing to incorporate into my neutral game.
So for big rhythm, you like making situation for be in paper, scissor or rock and play mix up, right?
Yeah.
I love neutral game, and sadly I think in this new generation of players they forget to learn neutral game, and they want to quickly become good with the punish game. But like you, I really love to talk about neutral game because it's very important in this game. Very important. Oh, nice. Well, I have some questions again. What you say? So you say you beat Zane, right? In Smash Summit, and it was your best win ever.
Yep.
When do you remember when was your first upset of you make, like in positive sides, like the first top players of you win against you win? I don't know if you understand what I mean. The first
Just
win
ever?
the first upset of you did.
Let me think.
Who make you very good, very happy, very like wow, I got it, I did it. It can be against Doll. Huh?
Yeah, I'm trying to think. Honestly, it might. Some of my biggest upsets were actually in different Smash games. I'm trying to think what my first Melee one was.
Because this is very important points. You play Brawl, you play PM, and you play Smash 4 and Ultimate 2, right?
Yeah.
Can we say all this match make the Llod of Melee right now, today?
Oh, for sure. Yeah, I still like talk about how I've stolen so many things from like my playstyles in all those other games and incorporated them into my Peach playstyle in Melee. Like a lot of my neutral game knowledge comes from Brawl, just because that was a game with such a lackluster punish game that you had to play so many neutral interactions per stock. And I think that's a big reason how I like came to understand neutral game. And then in PM, that's when I learned how to actually punish people, because if you don't punish people in PM, there's no way you can actually win the game, just because everyone had such like explosive punish games that you needed one on your own to compete well. And then Ultimate too, there's a lot of like movement mix-ups that you can really only do in Ultimate, but I've created like Melee versions of those mix-ups that actually got me a lot of mileage this past weekend. So for sure, all the different games have come into play.
It's very fun because in general, when players play Ultimate, Brawl, or something like that, they say they can't back in Melee because the game is too different, is not the same things, etc., etc. But for you using these games for become a better player in Melee, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, very
like
interesting.
Mutace is the Peach player who won Ultimate at Riptide. I've stolen so much from Mutace's Peach, his Ultimate Peach, and try to incorporate it into Melee. I for sure think there's a lot of overlap.
Oh, that's very interesting. Very interesting the points of view. Last week's you went in Reptile 2023. You finished top 3. You lost against 2 Falcon player, right?
Shocked. Nobody's surprised.
Yeah. But can we say Falcon is you worst matchup? Because
Okay.
no problem, no problem.
Yeah, for sure. I cannot stand that matchup. I think it is so atrocious. Um, and I think a big reason is because like the neutral game just doesn't make much sense to me. Falcon has such big hitboxes that it's tough to like weave my way inside without getting totally destroyed for it. So I think that's easily my worst matchup.
And do you say what is your favorite matchup?
Favorite, probably Peach vs. Marth actually.
Okay, Peach Mars. We already play against Hungry Box, right? Puff Peach.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah. So can we talk about this matchup for a few seconds?
Yeah.
You already beat Hungry Box in this matchup, and we talk about a matchup who Armada forgets Peach for focus with Young and Fox for beat the Puff Hungry Box Puff. How do you feel about this matchup as a Peach player?
I think like as time has gone on, Peach has gotten more tricks that make the matchup more doable. Like being able to like sneak underneath Puff's back air with like a low float up air can find some really early kills. I think that a lot of the turnip shenanigans she can do are getting better at dealing with Puff's drift. I think it's still like really, really hard, especially if Puff has a lead. But um, it's doable if you're like playing at 100%. Like if you're playing really, really well, then Peach has a shot.
Oh, okay. So you think if Peach play very well, and what about the Puff? He have to play well, or you have to play for?
They have to not be playing to time out Peach. That's like the big thing. Because if they're playing for the timeout, then it becomes almost impossible to catch Puff if they have a lead. Like you have to make these like wild series of reads of their movement to hit them once if they're playing like that.
Yeah.
So in that case, then matchup becomes a little bit hopeless. But if they are not playing like that, then it is doable.
And So I don't play Puff, I don't play Peach, but I saw a lot of Puff Peach match in sets in tournaments, and I feel I feel like it's very hard matchup for Peach. So when you talk about Falcon, I can understand Falcon is very hard for Peach, and I just wanna got you feeling about Puff players. So yeah, my last question before the other question. So because we have some viewers with us, and they will ask you some questions.
Sure.
But before, if you are up, of course, Llod. But before, I just have a last question for you. So you make a top three in Riptides. What is your next goal? What is your next objective as a top player?
I think honestly, currently, I just want to like maintain my skill level. Because these days I don't have too much time to practice, and then starting a couple months from now, I'll be working at a hospital that has like crazy hours required of me to work, and so I don't think I'll even be entering that many tournaments for like the rest of the year and maybe even the first half of next year. So currently, I just want to like not lose my skill and fade away into, you know, retirement just yet. I want to like hold on to my skills as a player. Maybe try out like a different controller or a different control scheme while I have some downtime, and eventually, once I start getting more time again, I think my goal will be to like crack the top 10, crack the top 5, and then maybe even become the best. Because I feel like it's not too unreasonable if I'm given time to play to reach
Yeah.
that.
Very very quickly, you talk about skill. I guess you practice a lot alone, tech skill before.
Um, Not really, actually. I
Okay.
don't. Yeah, I don't practice like tech skill too much. I think the advantage is I've just played this game for so long that I don't really like lose the tech skill. I never really have to practice it unless it's like a brand new technique.
Mhm.
I think I'm just everything is so like muscle memory at this point that it just doesn't get shaken off.
Okay, okay. Oh, okay, okay. Because you tech skill with speech is very 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 good. So I don't know if you know that,
Thanks.
lads.
Yeah, and
Uh,
I think it's just a product of playing for so long. It's not like I play every day or even every week for that matter. It's just ingrained into my fingers, and I can just do it when I need to.
yeah, memory muscular, like you say, memory muscular.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. No, very very nice. All right, all right. So we almost got 1 hour. So now it's the question of the viewers. So si vous avez des questions à poser à Llod, vous pouvez juste me dire moi sur le chat et je vais vous démute et vous allez pouvoir lui demander ou bien sinon vous allez pouvoir lui écrire directement. Donc avez-vous des questions ou pas à Llod? So Llod, I don't know if you can read the topic. Their topic is Chez Papy Maky Llod. Do you see that, Llod, or not?
Uh,
It's okay if you don't. I
oh,
will
yes. Yeah, I see it now.
oh,
Okay, I do see it.
go. Can you say Lacoste TN Le Boss? I don't know what that, Karen. Llod, are you going to join Arkham 4? Do you know Arkham 4?
No, what is that?
This is the next major tournament in France. We got Cody, we got Codorin, a lot of maybe Zane I hear.
Oh,
So
wow.
yeah, so a
Is
play
it? Oh, it's November.
in November, right? Yeah, in November, yeah, 17, 18, something like that. 18, 19
Okay.
November. Uh,
Yeah, I'd love to go. That the issue is that month is when I start like becoming a slave to the hospital. So unfortunately, I don't think I'll have much time to travel starting in November.
yeah, it's banned. France is very, very, very far. Have you been in
Mhm.
Europe? Rishi is in Europe right now.
Yeah, Rishi's living in London right now. Yeah, we used to go a decent amount. We've kind of been all over the place. We did go to France. We did go to Italy several times and um, Switzerland, Greece. So we've kind of been all over
Ah.
Europe.
Not France yet. Not France.
I think we went on like a let me think. We may have spent a day in France. Can't exactly remember where.
Because when you the next time you come in France, you are welcome to play melee. You know that you welcome to
Yeah,
play
oh, I'd love
melee.
to. Yeah,
Uh,
for sure.
there are questions. Lithium Lai ask, what for you the fundamentals training pitch? Like, what's for you the training fundamentals? What's he can do for practice the training
Okay.
with pitch?
So I think one of the most important things is just mastering her movement, her aerial movement, because it's like surprisingly difficult to have good control over her double jump and her float. And honestly, her double jump especially is hard to control just because it has like a dip at the beginning of it. She descends a little bit before ascending, and you can use that momentum shift to really trip up your opponent. Like, I think Triff is actually the best example of that because Triff will do a lot of the time full hop backwards and then double jump forward and then float and then drop down with an aerial. That movement sequence of jump back, double jump forward, float, and then falling down with an aerial is like really tricky because it baits the opponent into thinking you're going to back up, but then you actually like come forward and intercept them trying to do an overshoot approach. So being able to just control her double jump and float, and then being able to like time her aerials and fast fall well is, I think, the most important thing with her. Like, you don't need anything fancy. Um, just doing that can get you really, really far.
Oh. Okay, we have a question of Le Petit Asiat who say, Lord, how do you jungle between your job and melee? Because yeah, you say just before your job take a lot of times. You're surgery, right?
Yeah.
So you open body, right? And you make
Yep.
it's
Yeah.
it's
I
very
deal with I do a lot of like bone surgery, so like broken bones and stuff.
okay, very delicate things. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Do you find the time for jungle between melee and your job?
So, um, when I'm like really busy with work, uh, it's I think like my main goal at that time is just maintaining my skill level. It's hard to like improve if you don't have dedicated practice time. And so during times that are especially busy, I will try to just play enough to not get worse. And then when like I have more time, like a less busy weekend or something, that's when I can actually put more dedicated time to improvement. And so I think being able to like or having the skill of not getting worse is actually really, really underrated. Because I think that's a big reason how I've like found success for so long is because I'm able to like step away from tournaments for like months at a time, but still play just enough to like maintain my skill level. And that way, when I do have time to play again, I'm like, still at the same level and I can quickly bring things up again. So it's very much like time management and then also just knowing how to maintain your skill.
Hmm. Very nice answer. You have another question. Have you ever been afraid to be seen as a Richie brother in the melee community? Because Smash God, I remember
Yeah, yeah.
Smash God, like he was one of the best Mars in US. So
Right.
they talk a lot about Smash God, Smash God, Smash God. What was your feeling? Did you the question, did you feel like sometimes you was in the shadow of Rishi or not?
Oh, for sure. Yeah. Oh, hold on. I gave some incorrect information earlier. I had said that at the time in like early mid 2000s that Rishi was a Marth Fox player. I totally forgot that he used to main Luigi actually.
Wow.
I don't know how I forgot about that. Um, yeah, he was a Luigi main from like 2005 all the way until like 2010 or 11 or something. Um, and yeah, he was known as like so his Smashboard's name was Smash God. He was known as like the 12-year-old Luigi player. He actually wrote a guide on how to play Luigi that was still apparently referenced today by Luigi players. But yeah, he was much more well known than I was in like in the era of when we were both still kids, and that's what everyone would refer to me as was Rishi's little brother or like Smash God's little brother. Um, that's all they knew me as. They didn't even know my tag. And there was actually one point where I was so like fed up with it, but also just wanted to like own it that I temporarily made my tag Smash God's little brother. Like that was literally my tag for like a few months, just because that's
Really?
literally all that people know me as. So for sure, I have been afraid to be seen as Rishi's brother in the melee community. But I think it's safe to say that I've like established my own presence now that I've gotten a little bit better.
For what was your favorite tournament of you ever participate?
Favorite tournament?
Yeah. Maybe if
Honestly,
if it's hard to say one, maybe you can say two or three. Of
I
you.
actually I have a very clear answer, and I will probably stand by this forever. My favorite was the Smash World Tour finals
Oh,
in 2021
yeah.
because that was like the first time that literally people from all over the world got together to play this game, which I think is the coolest thing. I got to meet so many international players and make so many friends, and finally meet people who I've been like talking to for so long, but never actually like met in person. And it was just an amazing experience because so many people just got together and played this game, and it just kind of showed that like people's love for Melee actually transcends like the entire world. It was such a cool experience just to see everyone play. So
Wow.
I think by far that was my favorite tournament.
And you meet some European players at this tournament, right?
Oh, for sure. Yeah,
Yeah.
like I met I mean Triff and I hang out all the time whenever we're together, but always fun to see him.
Yeah,
But like,
Trev
yeah,
is my
I mean, the
friend.
rest of the European players got to meet like a lot of South American players too. Um, I still like J Cam has become one of my favorite people in the world. It was I don't know. I had such a good time. HP Yoshi player from Chile. We like played for several hours and talked about the game.
Wow.
It was such a cool experience.
There are questions. So, maybe 2 or 3 last questions, and then after we will let you, Llod, and thanks very much for your time.
Sure.
Which mindset for begin good in general in melee? Because I think this question is very interesting because in my point of view, a lot of players play melee for the win. They don't play for improve. They don't
Mhm,
play for learn. They just
mhm.
want win, 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 win. Um, can you say to us the good mindset to got for the player who begin in melee?
So I think so. A true beginner in Melee, I think, is a very delicate uh, it's a very delicate position to be in, especially someone beginning like these days, because currently the average skill level of a melee player is like really, really, really good with all the tools that are out there for people practicing tech skill and playing online. That I think it's really easy to get dissuaded from playing the game just because a beginner is going to run into people like so much better than them that you'll get destroyed and it'll be easy to like feel bad, feel like the game's not for you, whatever. So I think the best mindset to have is to find a way to have fun regardless of if you're winning or losing, which
Hmm.
um like I think is very reasonable to have for someone just joining the game. Like it's there's so much like history and culture and storylines in the game that you can still have the love for the game even if you're not winning. And so being able to like ride that feeling of enjoying the game will at least like keep you involved until you get good enough that like you can start worrying about actually winning and improving. So I think that's the most important thing is like finding a way to enjoy the game so that losing will not dissuade you from uh, continuing to play. And you can worry about improvement later. It's more just like finding your place in the game and your place in the community.
Oh, nice advice. Two last question. Lords, do you still apply your golden triangle when improving? Friendly, analyze, practice solution from Alec Turtles.
Um yeah, oh yes, for sure. Um a lot of the way that I like approach the game now for improvement, it usually ends up just being like thinking about very specific interactions. Like, oh, I was playing against this one player. They kept hitting me with this one move, and I don't know how to deal with it. So I would think about what my options are. I would practice those options, and then I would try implementing it the next time. It's like a constant cycle of that. So yes, that's very much how I still try to improve.
All right. And the last question: how do you keep the will to improve and play the game while not being able to attend a lot of tournaments? From Antoine.
I think at this point, like Melee has become so much of who I am as a person. Like, even if I have a very tough week at work, um, I'll still be able to like go home either at the end of the day or at the end of the week and decompress by playing the game. And it just like reminds me of all like the fond memories, all the friends that I've made, all the
Hmm.
joyous experiences that I've had winning and sometimes even losing. I think it's just become like such a part of me that no matter what happens, I will still always find a way to like play the game and still find a way to improve just because it's like so ingrained into me as a person.
Oh, okay. Nice. All right. And me, I have a last question for me.
Sure.
Why you start with pitch green and you switch with right pitch?
So I did that in honor of graduating medical school, actually, because you know how doctors wear their white coats.
Yeah.
Yep, that's what I did. So in my head, I'm not playing white peach, but I'm actually playing green peach wearing a white coat. So that's
Oh,
that's what I
okay.
think of in my head.
Nice. Llod, thanks you very much for your time and to be here. Thanks very much. I hope you appreciate this Chez Papy Maky. And I hope you got a good moment with us.
Yeah, absolutely. This was a lot of fun. Thanks so much for everything.
Thanks very much, Llod, and have a good evening because it's so in the evening for you, right?
Yep.
Thanks very much, Llod, and thanks very much. And see you soon. And bye bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye bye.